bottom line is, man, it's hard to break us now. It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to do it.
Open look, Gomez, he hits it! What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Hayden, Chicago! Oh my God! Hayden with the overtime winner!
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6-6. Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions. Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
Dylan Larkin's jersey was in the building last night down in Miami. Unfortunately, the performance of one Dylan Larkin was not kind of carried over by the teams that were wearing his and his teammates from the Olympic gold medal winning team jerseys in the World Baseball Classic. Welcome, everybody, on a Wednesday morning here on X's and Bros. The Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Love to get your thoughts via text at Sports Radio 21,000 or on the stream on YouTube, on Twitter, and or on Facebook as well. I'm Matt Shepard. Trent Bally is back with us as our producer today. I will try and be as positive as I can. Last night was a major letdown for me. I'm sure it was a major letdown for a lot of you, although some people think it was just an exhibition game. If it was just an exhibition game, can you explain to me how so many people were there cheering both for both teams? I mean, it sure was a Venezuelan pro crowd. It was a Dominican Republic pro crowd in the semifinals as well. But for some reason or another, Team USA and Americans just maybe didn't show up, couldn't get the tickets, or there weren't enough of them down in Miami.
Do you think they're just not loud enough? Like, how do you think?
I think because it's in Miami, it's massive Venezuelan, Dominican Republic, Mexico.
Yeah, demographic stuff. I saw that as well. I wonder if American fans just aren't loud enough.
Yeah, I don't think so. It got pretty loud when Bryce Harper hit that 8th inning 2-run bomb with 2 outs. But overall, no, awesome. I think it's just pro crowd because of the demographics. I would say this, though, if it's just an exhibition, Fox said the semifinals, we don't have the full numbers in from last night yet, but Fox said the semifinals between the U.S. and Dominican Republic drew 7.5 million viewers. That's the most viewed sporting event of the weekend. And it's the most viewed WBC game of all time.
Wow.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then explain that to me. All right. If it's just an exhibition game, why was it the most watched telecast FS1 has had since 2019? The ninth most watched telecast on the network overall. Why does it creep up in numbers that are dwarf NBA games? And anyway, some people think it's just an exhibition game. 3-2 was the final. Venezuela won it. Eugenio Suarez delivered the game-winning RBI off Garrett Whitlock in the top of the ninth, because the U.S. was the home team, based on a coin flip, by the way. Bryce Harper had 2 of America's 3 hits, including that 8th inning 2-run bomb that was majestic. It was awesome. Yeah. I hope people don't forget that either. I hope they don't forget that Eduardo Rodriguez pitched 4 1/3 of one-hit ball. It made no sense.
Of all people.
To most people, it just made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
And the reason it made no sense is because Eduardo Rodriguez, in the last 2 years, in 2024, he threw 50 innings and had an ERA of 5.04. In 2025, he threw 154 innings and he had an ERA of 5.02. Last night, Team USA and their vaunted offense, that vaunted lineup, was 1 for 13 with 4 strikeouts against him. I know what their narrative will be today. There's going to be a couple of them. One is on Mark DeRosa, and I get that. So he brings in Garrett Whitlock in the 9th inning. Mason Miller, in the meantime, in the WBC, had given up no hits, no runs, struck out 10, 35 pitches over 100 miles an hour, and hitters were 0 for 12 against him. He is averaging 22 and a half strikeouts per 9 innings, which is simply insane. Now, we find out afterwards that Mark DeRosa promised the Padres that he would not use Mason Miller unless it was a safe situation. And this is part of the problem I have with the World Baseball Classic. As much as I love it, as much as I got into it, as much as I was rooting for Team USA, the amount of rules, I understand the pitching rules in the sense of you can only throw a number of pitches, right? Because these guys are not in deep spring training shape just yet. I know the league is beginning play in a little bit more than a week, but these guys have not been as continuously throwing like they do per se with their own teams, although some of them left their teams and then came back for some strange reason or another, when I would guess most people would say, it's all right, you could stay with your team. There's no reason for you to come back unless you just want to wear a jersey walking into the stadium. But Mason Miller was not going to pitch unless it was a safe situation. If it was a tie game, Mark DeRosa told the Padres, and the Padres told him, we do not want him pitching. I don't know the reason for that, but that was the case. Thus, he went with Garrett Whitlock, who actually was pretty good in the previous game against the Dominican Republic. DeRosa will be criticized for starting Alex Bregman, who has stunk in the WBC, but Bregman had a 1049 OPS in his career against Eduardo Rodriguez. He will get criticized, and rightfully so, for playing Byron Buxton, who had a 453 OPS against Eduardo Rodriguez. So if you're going to use the excuse, well, hold on a second, he uses a guy like Bregman because of his good career numbers against Eduardo Rodriguez, be honest. It's because he's a righty, and you can always bring Gunnar Henderson off the bench. He used Byron Buxton because he's a righty. It can't be because of his numbers, because Pete Crow Armstrong was sitting on the bench. So as much as the offense let this team down, and it did, trust me, outside of Bryce Harper's 2 for 4, ripped a single down the right field line early in the game, and then hit the 2-run bomb. The rest of the offense was 1 for 26. Now, DeRosa's one of the scapegoats, and I get it. He's made some stupid comments and 2 major faux pas that has made everybody wonder, where is your head at? And on top of that, he, of course, made those lineup changes that many people feel weren't necessary. On top of that, in a pinch hitting situation late in the game, Will Smith at the plate, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh, and his 60 bombs a year ago, even though he's had a terrible WBC, were sitting on the bench. Could have hit from the left side. And don't give me this, well, defensively, Will Smith. No, Cal Raleigh last year was a finalist for the Gold Glove. He had 1 pass ball, and it was in the postseason. He didn't have any pass balls during the regular season. Now, I'm not complaining that Will Smith started, because Will Smith, it's not like he hasn't played under pressure situation. Guy's got rings with the Dodgers. He hit the game-winning home run, if you recall, last year in a big playoff series. So let's be careful there. But look at the rest. And you know how I feel about Bobby Witt Jr. I think I love him, okay? He is one of, if not my favorite player in Major League Baseball right now. And I've always liked Harper. I was texting back and forth with my son last night. This is awesome. After Harper hit the home run, my son's like, yeah, our favorite 2 guys, part of it. Witt with the walk, 4-pitch walk. That. Harper with the 2-run bomb. But Witt went 0 for 3. Will Smith went 0 for 3. Kyle Schwarber went 0 for 3. Alex Bregman, 0 for 3. Roman Anthony, 0 for 3. Pete Crow Armstrong, 0 for 2. Everyone's going to look at Judge because he's the captain. But those numbers are important too. There's a deeper problem with Aaron Judge that we'll get to when we come back, unfortunately. And I love Aaron Judge. But that's what the narrative is going to be, and it's hard for him to shake it. We'll talk about that and more as we roll on a Wednesday morning here on X's and Bros. We're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Avelo Air knows how much you love the Tigers. They love them too. They want to help you get to spring training in Lakeland because it is an awesome time. They fly nonstop from Grand Rapids to Lakeland Thursdays and Sundays, and nonstop from Detroit to Lakeland Wednesdays and Saturdays. Everyday low fares and reliable service. You don't want to fly anywhere else. Book your trip to Lakeland on AveloAir.com and use the promo code HUGE for $20 off a round-trip base fare when you book by March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
are together the whole time. We're not just teammates, we are family. This team is awesome. We are family here. That's why we play with passion, with love, because we feel the jersey, we feel our country in front of us. That's why this is a lot for us as players, as a people, as a human beings, and as a Venezuela. Now we are the champion.
That's a Eugenio Suarez on the field with Ken Rosenthal following the game on Fox. He had the game-winning RBI double. And, it was good at bat. Obviously, a missed pitch. The thing that pissed me off about more than anything else was the walk. You walked the leadoff guy. You just tied it at 2. And like I said, Garrett Whitlock was pretty damn good in the game against the Dominican Republic. But you had just gotten your team back into this thing, all right? Thanks to Bryce Harper. And the one thing you don't want to do is walk the leadoff man. And that's exactly what happened. Now, in fairness, that's what got Venezuela in trouble in the 8th. With 2 outs, it wasn't a leadoff walk, but with 2 outs, Bobby Witt Jr. draws a leadoff or a 2-out walk on a 4-pitch walk. And then Bryce Harper goes yard. So that extends the inning. It's frustrating for anybody watching, without question. Make them put the ball in play. It in soft contact all night long. There was only one hard-hit ball prior to the Harper home run, and it was the Harper single, too. So maybe Witt's fly ball to left center field to start the game. That was pretty well hit, too. It was just super frustrating for me. I love the sport. I love the competition of the World Baseball Classic. I think it's special what Major League Baseball has done. Would I like to see it maybe right around the All-Star break? Perhaps. Guys would be probably in better baseball shape and in better baseball mode, but I'm sure there will be a lot of people bitching and moaning about the fact that their team might be broken up for a period of time and it might extend the season. Their team might be broken up and their players might be quote unquote tired. Mark DeRosa has suggested that. Now, keep this in mind. There's a lot of people who are not going to take what Mark DeRosa says seriously because of literally what his quote was about the aforementioned Mason Miller. His quote was exactly, why didn't they, and when asked, why didn't they use Mason Miller? Honoring the Padres. Had we taken the lead he was coming in, I wasn't going to bring him into a tie game. Here's the problem with that. You're the home team. If you take the lead in the 9th, the game is over. So it really doesn't make any sense. Now, if he had said in a save situation, he was only coming in a save situation, that's different because you could be leading going into the top of the 9th and he would have to save it. That's really what he meant. But saying, you know what, the only way I was going to bring him into the game is if we had taken the lead, that was a moot point because you were down 2-0, and then it was tied 2-2 going to the 9th. So when people are and that might be semantics, but when people are upset about Mark DeRosa, that's part of the reason. I do wonder how this affects him and his job moving forward a little bit because
I thought about that same thing.
He's had a good reputation there.
Yeah.
At Baseball MLB Network, but man, there's going to be a lot of people second guessing him. He says he'd love to come back and do it. Both times he has managed the Team USA WBC, they've lost 3-2, and he's made some questionable moves. Mm-hmm. And the lineup has been questionable as well. Look,
very
when you have as much talent as Team USA had, it's really hard to screw up the lineup. I'm not going to blame him for the lineup messing up left and right. I'm blaming the players, all right? And I get why people are upset at the lack of offense. Can I just mention this? The top 10 pitchers in the world, if you had to guess, let's count 10 pitchers. Go ahead. Who are they? It's Tarek Skubal. It's Paul Skeens. It's Garrett Crochet. It's Yoshi Yamamoto, who's on Team Japan. It's Wayne State's Hunter Brown. Christopher Sanchez, not on the American squad. Max Fried, Logan Webb, Chris Sale, Hunter Green, probably, Dylan Cease, Sonny Gray, Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, perhaps, players like that. How many of them said yes? Seriously, did you really have the best of the best?
No, you didn't have the true Team
Paul
USA.
Skeens, right, Paul. But how is that on them? That's on the player.
Absolutely.
Or the team in which that player played.
The decisions made.
Paul
the agents.
Skeens played, and he was great. Okay. Logan Webb played. He was great. Where's Garrett Crochet?
Nowhere.
Where's Hunter Brown?
Nowhere.
Where's Max Fried? Led baseball in wins a year ago.
I was going to say that might be the most disappointing one for me, but it's easy to say that in hindsight. But
so let's dive into this.
I think they really could have used him.
Here, let's dive into what the most disappointing thing was, because this is what people are going to be talking about today. They're going to be talking about Aaron Judge going 0 for 4. Okay. And he went 2 for 11 with 6 strikeouts and no RBIs in the exhibition game.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to...
In the elimination games.
That's what I will talk
about. And that's where everybody's going. Fair enough, because he didn't perform. We're conveniently, especially as Tigers fans, leaving Tarek Skubal out of this. He could go. He doesn't pitch until 9 effing days, Trent. 9 days.
Right.
And you're telling me he can't pitch yesterday or 2 days prior? Is that going to screw up his first day as a starter?
Nope.
Opening day in San Diego?
And even if
he
it
pitched
did,
against the
Shep,
Dominican Republic, if he had started that game against the Dominican Republic, you're telling me that would screw up his first start of the season?
What pisses me off even further, Shep, is even if it did, who cares? I think you and I, any baseball fan, no, seriously.
Tigers care.
Yes, they do, but okay, you lose one game, and then you really, truly help motor Team USA to a win over the Dominican Republic, like you said. Like, I would sacrifice that for a Tigers win. I would.
But you and I would. That we're not playing. So that doesn't matter. You and I'm on the same page as you. I would just remind you, Detroit finished one game out of the division lead a year ago. So, and now remember, he also lost the opening day against Los Angeles to the Dodgers, and you or your buddies, remember, he said, oh my God, they can't win.
The big boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't, that has nothing to do with you or me. My problem, because we're on the same page there, my problem is he comes strutting in with everybody else wearing a Team USA jersey, Dylan Larkin, and everybody in the state of Michigan is like, wow, that's awesome. You know what would have been awesome? I don't care if he wears a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander fur coat. It would have been awesome if he would have strut his way into the ballpark 2 nights ago and pitched against the Dominican Republic.
Bingo.
That would have allowed Paul Skeens to pitch yesterday.
That would have put Team USA in the best position.
It wasn't on Nolan McLean. Nolan McLean pitched well. He gave up 2 runs, but he pitched well. He gave up a sacrifice fly, and he gave up a solo home run. So for the most part, he pitched pretty well. But it wasn't your best. It wasn't
Correct.
your best players. I like Nolan McLean, all right? He's 24 years old. He pitched a little bit in the majors last year. And you've got Tarek Skubal coming in with a backpack and a Team USA hockey jersey and sitting in the dugout talking about pitching grips.
And Shep,
really?
If I can ask you quickly,
give me a break, man.
All these other countries in the World Baseball Classic, they had their best, correct? I mean, I can't think of a player that sat out.
I don't know that. I don't either. But I didn't take a deep dive.
There's
sure
no
looked
glaring
like
omission from any of these teams, right? Any of these countries.
Not that I could tell.
Not to the extent of Tarek
But I don't
Skubal.
know all the pitchers. Okay? We know the position players. I don't know if all the pitchers were actually throwing for their home country. So I'm not going to criticize that. I'm criticizing what Skubal's
our own
decided to do. If Skubal and the Tigers choose that he shouldn't be pitching, that's fine. I have the great respect for that. My problem is I'm going to throw one game and then I'm just going to drive back and forth through the rain to Miami so I can be with these guys. I had to be with these guys. Stop it.
Yeah.
Anybody else does that. I'm telling you right now, anybody else does that. This fan base would be pissed if they cared about the WBC.
Absolutely.
But because it's your guy and he wore a Red Wings jersey at a Red Wings game and he took a picture with Cade Cunningham and he was on the sidelines of the Lions and he welcomed Tom Izzo with a picture on the court, everybody's like, yes, that's him. And he happens to be your best player. You won't criticize him, but you will criticize everybody else who would have done the exact same thing as him. We're back after this. Quick timeout. This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The huge show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. We'll be right back after this break, but while you're waiting, be sure to vote on our daily poll question presented by MitchLyonsWealth.com at XB Mornings on X.
Okay, back with you here on X's and Bros, 35 after the hour. 8:35 later on this morning. We'll get a pretty good indication of what the Lions have received in signing a defensive end. DJ Wanham, because he used to play in Carolina, and Joey Ellis down in Carolina covers the Panthers, and he's going to join us to give us an idea of what the Lions get. We talked a lot about the WBC so far. The Lions have signed a defensive end, DJ Wanham, a 1-year, $6 million deal. Former fourth-round pick in 2020, started 15 games, boasted 3 sacks for Carolina last year. Twice in his career, he's had 8 sacks in a season. I'm going to tell you why I think this and what the Lions have done as of late has been encouraging. That is not an easy thing to do, because I think there's a lot of people out there who roll their eyes, think of this name, knowing that it's not it's not one of those names that jump off the page. It's not one of those names where you're going to buy a jersey at the pro shop, and it's not one of those names that is going to be a Pro Bowler. It's more probably as a depth piece than anything else. And I know some of you may be thinking, wait a minute, Al-Qadim Muhammad signed for $6 million in Tampa. Why not just keep him? I'll explain coming up why I think it's a good move. Pistons blow out the Wizards 130-117. Detroit shoots 51%. They grab 50 rebounds and put 6 in double digits, led by Jalen Duren's 36 points and 12 rebounds. The Pistons have now won 4 of their last 5. Jalen Duren continues to impress. My hope is that, and maybe it's because he's quote unquote playing for a contract. Okay. Maybe it's because Cade Cunningham had back problems last night, and somebody felt like they had to take charge. Those who do not like him, those who have not been convinced yet, because it would actually force them to say, I was wrong, will say, it's the Wizards. They suck.
I was just going to ask you if the opponent matters or not.
And, you know, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
100%.
So if they don't win that game, you're asking, how come you're not elevating your play with your superstar on the bench? If you do elevate your play and you boast those types of numbers, people are saying the competition isn't good enough. They've lost 13 in a row. Yes, it's a problem in the NBA. Yes, it's an issue because Washington, who would pay to go watch the Washington Wizards? Not me. Absolutely not. Had a hard time just watching it myself, and I was rooting for the other team, the Pistons.
Shep, they haven't been worthy of buying a ticket since they were the Bullets. Let's be honest. But neither here nor there. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't.
As it pertains to the Pistons right now, I'm not taking anything away. Just saying, like, the Wizards stink.
They do.
They're not fun to watch at all.
No, who's the most engaging player there that makes you go, yes, I definitely want to watch that person play?
For people in this neck of the woods, it's Jordan Poole.
Maybe, and it may be, somebody like Trae Young. Maybe, okay, who seems to have fallen off. But you're right. I mean, they've been terrible for a long time. They maybe 2017 when they won 49 games
with John Wall.
that's a long time ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah, so long time ago. Yeah, they have not been enjoyable to watch. I don't care. All I care about is the Pistons, and the Pistons got it done. And let's face it. I mean, they're playing good ball right now. Winning 4 of 5. Next win is their 50th win of the season. They're still up 4 on Boston. And if you're looking at the big picture of things and you're going, hey, who's going to get home court throughout? They're a couple of games back of Victor Wembanyama and San Antonio. All right. AP All-American team includes Michigan's Yaxel Landeborg on the first team, Jeremy Fears on the second team. Michigan State fans may not like it because Landeborg. Michigan fans may not like it because of Fears. Why can't you just say, you know what? It's deserving. Landeborg's the Big Ten Player of the Year. He deserves to be there. Fears is as good a point guard as there is in the country. So be happy, be proud, be honored. Big Ten's got a few guys on there because Braden Smith is second team as well. All right. He's a pretty damn good point guard too. Howard shoots 52%. They beat UMBC 86-83. They earn the right to play Lindenborg and Michigan on Thursday. Texas trimmed NC State, pair of 11 seeds, 68-66. They now get 6-seeded BYU.
Did you watch the end of that game, Shep?
I did not. I was so locked into WBC. I couldn't stray from that, thinking I was going to miss any pitch. I was just, and I don't know why, because I got so frustrated. Will Vest was really good. I was happy for him.
He pitched well.
Gleyber Torres was not, which, again, you don't want to read too much into. But the soft contact by Team USA was frustrating the hell out of me.
Yes.
The fact that it seemed like every Venezuelan pitcher, or maybe more appropriately, every Team USA batter, except for 2, was in an 0-2 or 1-2
Oh my goodness,
hole.
you're right. Yes,
and
so
obviously, and obviously it was Bobby Witt Jr. and somebody else drew a 4-pitch walk. My apologies. I kind of forgot who exactly that was. But somebody else drew a 4-pitch walk. It might have been. Oh
no, you might be right.
It might have been Kyle Schwarber. I think it was Kyle.
It could have been Schwarber.
I think it was Schwarber. He drew a 4-pitch walk. That, to me, everybody else seemed like they were in a hole and trying to catch up.
How do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about the aggression, at least?
Well,
like,
I got in a debate with somebody last night because Aaron Judge was up, and it was a 2-0 count, and he took a slider down the middle.
Awful.
And people were screaming in this group text, and I said, "You are not looking slider 2-0." I mean, this person said, "What the hell are we doing here?" You're not looking slider 2-0. Okay, so then it goes 2-1, then it goes 3-1. The cutter he takes 3-1 is different. It's fastball. Okay, stop with the whole 2-0 slider. You got to swing at that. You're not looking for that type of spin. There's not many pitchers who do that. Well, he's the best hitter in the world, and he's got to adjust. You make it sound like you're sending a text.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Like,
and if you got fat thumbs, it's not easy either. But the whole 2-0 slider, come on, what are you doing? You are looking fastball, okay? Many times, especially with big power hitters like that, it's a guessing game. You're trying to simplify things. I'm in the box. This is what his tendency is. This is what the count is. You're aware of all that. You're not Mark DeRosa behind a microphone at a press conference, not knowing if your team is qualified or not. So that to me is really frustrating. Them getting behind, should they have been more aggressive? Should they give Venezuela a lot of credit for keeping Team USA off balance? I mean, that's what Eduardo Rodriguez did. There was a game in 2023, I think, where he was pitching against Baltimore, and he had a no-hitter late into the game, and that's how I
remember that game. Yeah,
that was how it felt with Eduardo Rodriguez. He was
good call,
nipping the corners. He was keeping batters off balance. He was throwing certain pitches in counts you would not have expected, and I think that's what it's a fine line between respecting somebody and being frustrated at your team for not being as aggressive enough. Anyway, here we got the Mitch Lyons-Weld poll question. This is it. 5-12 in the NCAA tournament, and on your brackets, I'm sure, is a very popular pick. That's what usually people talk about. Which 12 am I taking to upset which 5? So we ask you, which 12 seed is most likely to upset a 5 seed? Is it Akron against Texas Tech? Akron can shoot the basketball, folks. Is it High Point against Wisconsin? Is it McNeese State against Vanderbilt? Or is it Northern Iowa against St. John's? I am not going the latter. I'm going one of two. Now, remember, Wisconsin is a team, when they're on, they can beat just about anybody. When they're off, they can lose to just about anybody.
They're a shooting team. Let's call a spade a spade. Like, that's what it is.
So,
if they hit their shots, they're great. If not, they're going to lose.
So if you're going High Point, you're expecting Greg Gard's team to be struggling shooting the basketball, right? Akron is different. JT Toppin is off, or TJ Toppin is out. He's out for the rest of the year. He's been injured. So that's a that's a situation right there. If you're Akron, you feel like your team's got a chance because of that. Even though Texas Tech has proven they can win without them. Anyway,
yeah, I mean,
that's your Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Vote as often as you want at XP Mornings. We'll give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. I know we've got some texts, so I want to get to those. Let me get to the text. Usually we get this right around this time with our friend Freddie.
Yes.
And here's what Freddie says. Freddie says, money in sports has just ruined so many sports. WBC in theory is a great idea, but players can't play much or asked to sit. Tarek Skubal basically embarrassing himself, flip-flopping. If MLB players can commit, just play the college players. I'm not doing that. You're not putting college players up against the best players in the world.
Because that's not the best you have to offer.
Yeah,
but I understand his point in that, like, Tarek Skubal, that how can you not be embarrassed?
Well, obviously he feels like he's not. I would say this. Instead of going that route, I would just say, if you're going to commit, like he said in the text, just commit. Your hours for a 2-week span. Okay?
There should be no restraints.
It's no different than the Olympics and hockey. All right? And sometimes college teams have to play without their best players. Why? Because they go play in the World Juniors. Not all of them, but some of them. So here's what they do. If you're going to commit to the WBC, you're going to be with us. You're going to get those workouts and so on and so forth. And this is that's your commitment.
Yeah.
You're not going to be going back and forth somewhere in Florida. Okay. That's how you fix it.
But
all the streaming. Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this. Wouldn't you rather have the college kid that's all in?
No.
Or no?
I wouldn't.
Because I think maybe that's what Freddie's getting at is, like, instead of having Tarek Skubal come in with the reported 55 pitch cap or ceiling, would you rather just have a college kid that's like all in and like, yeah, I'll throw 2 starts for you?
Again, no, I wouldn't.
And I wouldn't either.
Who's the best college player? Who's the best college player in America?
Couldn't tell
Any
you.
idea? You have no idea.
Couldn't tell you.
You if I said AJ Garcia, would you say that's an actor? That's somebody you work
Center
with,
field.
Or that's a college player? He's an outfielder for Virginia.
Okay.
And he's considered one of the better players in college baseball. Okay. Rock Chalowski is a shortstop at UCLA. He's considered one of the better players in all of college baseball. I'm not having him or Justin LeBron, the shortstop at Alabama, play shortstop instead of Bobby Witt Jr.
No, I'm not either.
Just because these guys are going to be committed. I'll go look for a major league shortstop and ask them to commit, even if it's less than Bobby Witt Jr.
So if we're going to
And by the way, let's just remind everybody of this. Bobby Witt Jr. wasn't going back and forth. Aaron Judge wasn't going back and forth. Bryce Harper wasn't going back and forth.
None of those
Kyle
guys
Schwarber wasn't.
No.
None of those guys were. It was the pitchers. So just focus on that. Get the pitchers that you think are going to be committed. And that's basically what they did. And that's why you couldn't find as many good pitchers as you wanted to. I would rather have Paul Skeens throwing 2 games for me than Liam Peterson of Florida.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Then it's a non-starter. You're going up against the best in the world, for crying out loud. Let's not lose sight. This is not Miracle. Okay. That's not going to happen. So let's just take the best American-born players you can from Major League Baseball, but before they commit, tell them they have to commit for the entire thing. Don't lose that because Tarek Skubal chose to be wishy-washy, that everybody else is going to be. If you can't make it, Garrett Crochet, fine. Stay over there. I want guys who can.
I guess my question would be, and you might have a name, you might not. Who would be the guy, the American pitcher, that you would have rather had over Tarek Skubal? Because I think you have a name.
Garrett Crochet.
There you go.
I mean, that's not a hard.
Because he's willing to pitch more than 55 pitches for crying out loud.
But here's the problem. They asked Garrett Crochet.
And he said no?
Right. They asked Max Fried.
Yeah.
No. Hunter Brown.
That's
no.
a shame.
Dylan Cease. No. Sonny Gray. No. Brian Wu. No. Andrew Abbott. No. Look, I'm not smarter than they are.
But that's where I come to Tarek Skubal's defense.
You don't think they know all the different pitchers they should be asking? You got to get a yes.
Yeah.
It's on the pitchers and it's on the teams for whom they pitch.
That's the problem, Shep. And it's like I that's where I come to Tarek Skubal's defense, though, because I'm like, at least he showed up.
He showed up at Great Britain, for Christ's sake.
I know, the worst,
Give me a break.
Worst team in the field by far. So I agree with you.
on.
But I'm just saying, like, at least he came. He didn't.
Whatever. All right, good. Well, give him pom-poms next time. All right.
I'm not going to do that because I'm with you. I think it's BS.
Give him a beer, a hot dog, some pom-poms, and paint his face because he's not going out on the mound, okay? What I'm saying is I'd rather not have him at all instead of him giving me 4 innings.
But isn't that a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing?
No, because he's pitching against Great freaking Britain.
I know, but Shep, if he didn't show up, wouldn't we be just as pissed off? Maybe.
No, because he's chosen to be committed to the Tigers. So be it. This is not being committed. This is going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. What's the point of being in the dugout? For moral support? Do you think Gunnar Henderson needs moral support against the Dominican Republic? I'll tell you what, Roman Anthony hit that home run because thank God he had Tarek Skubal there to slap him on the back when he goes through the dugout after the win. Give me a break, man.
Don't get me wrong. I largely agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Oh, like, God, man. It's.
I think if Team USA had its most prominent pitchers, they would.
I don't disagree with you. You can't get those pitchers to commit because a lot of them, and their teams don't want them to. Teams are not all in. People are going to blame the players, but a lot of teams are not all in. I'm afraid of getting injured. Yeah. Well, what if you get injured, against Florida Southern in some type of exhibition game?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Just different time, different look. Let me ask you this. If they move the World Baseball Classic to July, which they've talked about, do you think that helps the situation with pitchers?
No, as I said, I said this earlier. I said, no, it's going to take longer. Okay. The All-Star break would be longer. You're going, no team after the All-Star break or during that All-Star break in late July is going to say, I'm going to allow you to take Tarek Skubal.
Completely agree. I think that's the worst thing you could do.
He'll miss starts for your team in the second half of a season that is really, really important.
You will get fewer stars in the WBC
for
in
sure.
July than you would in March.
Without a doubt, if the teams have anything to say about it. We got to get to some text. We'll do that when we come back. A lot of things to discuss, including some football news from the Detroit Lions. Tempering my enthusiasm, but understanding to a certain extent where they're going. Not a lot of people do, but I get what's going on right now as long as Brad Holmes does what he needs to do, specifically in the draft and with more addressing of needs with free agency. We'll get to all that and more coming up here on a Wednesday morning, this hour of X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering the most generous rewards on the market, no matter what happens on the court, because this isn't a tournament you bet and forget. It's one you react to. With DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, you're not betting what might happen, you're betting what's happening. Possession by possession, play by play, live lines, props, next play outcomes. As the chaos unfolds, the bracket will break, so don't just watch the unexpected, bet it. New to DraftKings? Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE. That's code HUGE to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and up, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance, so get them in. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Second hour of the program. Glad you're with us on a Wednesday morning here on X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by Meijer via the text. All the streaming services now to watch and pay. NBA players and teams openly tanking. NFL adding weekday games. College sports paying players millions and allowed to move anytime. And every game of every sport on TV is another big problem. The romance and hunger to wait and watch them has left. That's deep.
Well said.
But by the way, he's not alone. I know a lot of people. Look, my best friend down in Atlanta used to be a massive, and I mean a massive sports fan. He's like, I'm done. Now, he's probably, well, he's not probably, he is in the minority. WBC is drawing record numbers. Hockey in the Olympics, record numbers. You're seeing it on a regular basis, okay? You're not spending billions of dollars as a network if you're not getting eyeballs. The top 10, 9 of the top 10, I believe, programs this past year in 2025 were football games.
Yeah, you're right about
so
that.
I think as much as it frustrates you, you don't like the way the leagues are run. I don't blame you. I don't either. But
it's not coming at
you
the
not
expense
watching
of viewership.
is a little surprising. I think most people, most sports fans, are watching. You're finding a way to watch. It frustrates the hell out of me that you got to get all these streaming services. I don't like it at all. I could be old guy and say, I miss it when games were over the air. The Pistons on channel 50 in Detroit, the Tigers on channel 4 in Detroit, and all that other stuff. Okay. That's just not reality anymore, unless you're Matt Ishbia in Phoenix having an over the air. Pistons are going to have 5 games over the air instead of on a cable network. That's great. Okay. Now they've got a conflict because of either Tigers or Red Wings on that cable, but that's the deal. So I understand where you're coming from. All of this has changed. We don't like change in general, unless we perceive it to be for the positive. Nothing that has taken place in sports is viewed by the masses as positive. It doesn't mean you stop watching it, but you don't like paying millions of dollars for players. And by the way, it's sneaking into the high schools too. Not millions, but it's sneaking into the high schools. And you feel like you've lost the true meaning of what sports is all about. I've said this for 25 years, and I've been doing this for about that long. Sports is big business. This bullcrap of it's just entertainment could not be more incorrect. It is big business. You are not spending, making, and charging people the amount of money that sports does if it's not big business. Shep, you described Lions fans. They criticize every other team, player, and general manager move, but here everyone on the Lions gets praised. Yesterday on Twitter, I saw a response to the new defensive end signing. If he stays healthy, it's another steal for Brad. Someone else does that. All the GM does is sign hurt players on the cheap. I can say it. I'm not wrong. Good third option. Can't shoot or take over a game in a big moment. Show me that and I'll change my mind. Well, shoot, I'm not. That sounds like an NBA reference. If you're talking about DJ Wanham, I think what the Lions were hoping. I said this during the year. Al-Qadim Muhammad, and everyone's like, oh, the 11 sacks. He doesn't play every down. He's not an every down defensive end. And that's a hard thing to do, by the way, in the NFL. He's not an every down because he's not very good against the run. Let me give you some perspective here. And this kind of parlays into what I wanted to talk about anyway, and that's regarding the Lions and how I understand some of these moves. It doesn't mean that I didn't want Trey Hendrickson. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't have loved to see a trade for Max Crosby. It doesn't mean I wouldn't have signed Rasheed Walker to take over for Taylor Decker. All it means is, to a certain extent, if you can step back for a moment and try to look at things clearly, can you understand what Brad Holmes is trying to do? He's got core players signed up for a long term and for a lot of money. Kirby Joseph, I know, he's injured. Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Who am I missing? Jamison Williams. Okay. To a certain extent, I guess maybe he's got one of his DTs. I don't think it's a long-term deal. But bottom line is you've invested quite a bit in some of those core. Can we call them core players? Okay.
Yeah. Hell
okay,
yeah.
That's fair enough. It's the way he has chosen to build this team. You can disagree with it, but he's not the only general manager to invest in his guys. All right. Teams do this when those guys prove something to them. Some may feel it's a little early. I don't disagree with that. You thought that Kirby Joseph was a little startling. You thought maybe Jamison Williams was a little startling. The Jamison Williams contract looks better, especially after what Alec Pierce signed for. But I digress. We all want something to be addressed to fill the need. Shep, we have a need at left tackle. Understood. Shep, we have a need at the defensive end position. We have needed that for a long time. I don't disagree with either one of those. I would remind you they have 9 draft picks. I would remind you that on the first day of the NFL draft in April, you can get your right tackle or your defensive end. And you might take a bigger sigh of relief and maybe a breath. But in the meantime, you do have to build up a 54-man roster for Sunday. Okay, you're dressing 48. I think the roster is for 54. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a little bit more than that
you're right.
now. So you've got 54 holes to fill overall. You've got certain guys who are already on this team. Cade Mays is going to be your starting center if he's healthy. Tate Ratledge is going to be your starting right guard if he's healthy. Penei Sewell is going to be one of the tackles if you understand all that. So you need some guys who are going to be able to fill in the gaps and play special teams. Nowaski's that guy. Rodriguez might be that guy. They signed Roger McCreary. He's a good guy to have as a depth piece. Now, he is not the second coming of Charles Woodson, but he's not a doorknob either. He's a good player. He's got starts under his belt. How many times last year did we say, oh my gosh, Arnold is out. There's no Rakestraw, and we don't have anybody to take their place. We have guys who we don't even know. They've never started in this league, right?
That's
he played
what
at
started the whole
Saginaw
Legion
Valley.
of Whom thing.
That was the big complaint.
Mm-hmm.
And then they re-sign Rock Yassin. They bring in Roger McCreary. Guys who do have starts. McCreary's got 30-plus starts under his belt. It may not be Darryl Green, but it's not a bad option to have as a backup guy, okay? That's the same thing with DJ Wanham. Think of this. Last year, he played 291 run-down snaps. He was on the field for when they were going to run the football. Compare that to Al-Qadim Muhammad or AQM. He played 88 run down snaps, 291 to 88. Pass rush. Wanham last year, 396 pass rush. AQM, 353. In other words, Wanham played 300 more snaps than AQM.
I love that you brought this up.
So among the 74 edge rushers with at least 500 pass rush snaps over the last 2 years, Wanham ranks 71st in QB hits, which isn't great, 57th in sacks, which is okay, and 61st in pressure rate. He is a guy who is going to be able to play in more situations than just passing situations. Nobody said he was a 1. That's Aiden Hutchinson.
Correct.
We didn't even say he was a 2. All we're saying is when you're looking for somebody, when Hutchinson needs a blow or whoever that other defensive end is needs a blow, this is a guy you can bring in and he can play. He's got 30 career sacks, okay, since he was drafted. He has not had fewer than 25 pressures since his rookie year. And he's played at least 14 games in 5 of his last 6 seasons. Would you rather have a guy like Marcus Davenport? The answer to that is hell to the no. It's a depth signing. It's 1 year, $6 million. And if he plays behind a rookie or he plays behind another veteran that you might sign, then you feel good about the depth at the position. Because going into yesterday, they had 3 defensive ends on the roster. You're going to need about 6. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Text us at Sports Radio 21,000. We'll get to some of your texts, and we'll get to some of the feedback via the chat on YouTube when we come back after this, brought to you by Meyer.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meyer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meyer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meyer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Avello Airlines knows you love the Tigers because they love them too. It's why they have direct flights to Lakeland, Florida out of both Grand Rapids and Detroit. Thursdays and Sundays are nonstop out of GR, and Wednesdays and Saturdays are nonstop out of Detroit. So wherever you are in Michigan, you can get down to spring training to watch your Tigers. With everyday low fares, reliable service, you do not want to fly any other way. Head to AvelloAir.com to book your trip now. That's AVELO air.com and use code HUGE for $20 off a round trip base fare if you book before March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
thought we were getting something there. 18 after the hour. Welcome back. Mark DeRosa is getting just absolutely torched on social media. The home run by Bryce Harper, just real quick. It's crazy to think. I hope people remember it because it might be the most clutch but unforgotten home run of all time. I don't know, maybe LeBron James. I don't know if there's another player who came into a league with greater expectations or higher expectations and more pressure than Bryce Harper. I want you to remember something. I mean, Bryce Harper is a guy who graduated high school early at 16, went to a junior college at the age of 17, okay, and came into baseball as the most hyped player, arguably, of all time. He was 19 when he debuted for Washington. He played in 139 games at the age of 19. He hit 270 and hit 22 bombs at the age of 19. Now, a lot of times people always talk about, older people, I should say, always talk about back in my day. I would remind you that the great Al Kaline debuted at the age of 18. He only played in 30 games. His first full season, much like Harper, was age 19, played in 138 games, hit 276, but had 4 homers as a Hall of Fame player. Harper, at the age of 19, as I mentioned, 22 homers, hit 270 in 139 games. So almost the same number of games. Different era, I get it. But here's a 2-time MVP. For what it's worth, he's an 8-time All-Star. He's a Rookie of the Year. He's a 4-time Silver Slugger. He's going to have over 400 homers in his career. I doubt he gets to 500. Age 33, his general manager has said, he may not be that superstar any longer, or elite is the word he used. I'll still take Bryce Harper on my team. And I would also remind people, he made the transition from right field to first base because of his arm issues. But he's made that transition seamlessly. He's been really good at first base. And he was really good in the WBC as well. There are some people who won't make that transition. Nick Castellanos, who the team has asked numerous times, hey, we think you're better suited for a first baseman because he's not a really good outfielder and he wasn't a great third baseman either. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. LeBron James, for sure, because of what he accomplished in high school, an absolute freak, one of the greatest high school players of all time, even though he's not the all-time leading scorer in Ohio high school history. John Diebler is, believe it or not. But he's in front of Sports Illustrated, 1-1. You know the whole story, right? And rightfully so. A lot of pressure there. And I would say he met the pressure with great exuberance, enthusiasm, and reached those expectations. Would you say the same for Bryce Harper? Hasn't won a World Series yet. He left Washington and they won. Got there with Philadelphia, but they lost. It's a good question, I think.
Well, for that reason, I think most would say no. He has not reached expectations, I think. Most would say.
As a 4-time Silver Slugger and a 2-time MVP?
He's been a good player, no doubt. But you're right about the... He's been a great player. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. But the expectations I'm referring to...
Well, if you're a Hall of Famer, your words... If you're a Hall of Famer, I think you've reached expectations. What more do you expect? It's a team sport. This is, him not winning a major in tennis.
Okay, I guess if we flipped it and made it, okay, so say LeBron came into the league and had all these accolades that he has now, has the MVPs, all-time leading scorer, but he hadn't won a single championship, not one, I think people would say he hasn't lived up to the hype. So I'm just trying to apply that same principle to Bryce Harper. That's
I think it's really hard to do in different sports because in basketball, oftentimes one guy can take over. In baseball, four at bats in the field, are you able to change the game as much? He's changed plenty of games with big time home runs.
Yes.
But you need in baseball, I think you need your teammates. I hate to put it this way, you rely on your teammates more than in basketball you do. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's more of a team
both sports
game,
you absolutely do.
On its
right?
face,
But LeBron James is getting more of an opportunity to do just that because he's got the basketball in his hands and he can create and all this other stuff. Bryce Harper is limited in that regard. He's getting 4 at-bats. He's playing early in his career right field. Is he really getting the chance to change the game? I want to get to some more texts here real quick. Let's see. This again from Freddie. Let's see. Someone else. So let's see. If I had a hand and type player $40 million a year, then it tells you everything you want to know about sports today. Instead of college players, maybe should have said minor league players and those teams. No, I don't. I wouldn't do the minor league players either. I think we've got what the right situation would be based on the rules and regulations of what the WBC asks for. Don't think you're winning anything with minor league players. Now, Kevin McGonigal might make the major leagues. Would you want him at shortstop instead of Bobby Witt Jr. or Gunnar Henderson? The answer to that is hell no. Absolutely not. And he's a really good player. He's going to make this team. I would have no problem with him batting at the top of the order. I saw somebody suggest the order the other day of Matt Vierling at the top. What's wrong with Kevin McGonigal? Well, because you oftentimes want to hide your younger players down at the bottom of the order. And because, they're getting used to it. So I understand that mindset to a certain extent. Personally, I would like to see if the kid can handle it. Now, maybe you wait a little bit to do just that, but I would like to see him handle it because I think he can handle it. He sure doesn't seem like a guy who is that distraught. Let me give you an example. We were just talking about Bryce Harper. Okay. I was thinking about this the other day regarding Kevin McGonigal, even though they're two different players. Okay. Bryce Harper, his rookie year, he batted second in the Washington lineup more than any other place he batted. 117 of the games he played, of the 139 he played, he batted second. In other words, he was unique. He was he was different than other players. Not saying everybody's the same. I'm not saying that's the way it goes. All right. Bobby Witt Jr. When did he debut? He debuted early in his career. Okay. His rookie season, where did he bat mostly? Well, he was a guy who batted first, second, or third in almost every game he played. Top third of the order. And he could handle it. I think Kevin McGonigal is not too dissimilar than that. And Witt debuted, by the way, at the age of 22. McGonigal's 20? We'll get to more of that, and I promise your texts, plus some of the feedback we're getting via the chat. This hour of X's and Bros proudly brought to you by our friends at Meyer on a good discussion on a Wednesday morning.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. or go to MitchLionsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about. Huge here for Avelo Airlines. Did you know you now can fly nonstop from Detroit and Grand Rapids to Lakeland, Florida, home of the Tigers Spring Training Complex? You can fly nonstop from Detroit to Lakeland on Wednesday and Saturdays, or from Grand Rapids to Lakeland on Thursdays and Sundays. You'll land just 20 minutes away from the ballpark. Lakeland Linder Airport is a smaller, convenient airport with on-site car rentals and only 280 feet from the plane to the parking lot. Everyday low fares happening right now, and reliable service with Avelo Air. You can book your tickets now at aveloair.com. That's AVELO air.com. Use promo code HUGE for $20 off your round trip base fare ticket when you book by March 31st. Restrictions apply. Discount applies to round trip base fare tickets only, valid for travel through August 31st, 2026. Must be purchased by 11:59 p.m. on March 31st, 2026. See aveloair.com for details. Contract of carriage for full details. Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. You want to talk to Shep? Call us at 866-838-4843.
There's a belief going out there that Aaron Judge in the WBC in the postseason, because his numbers in the World Series are not good at all, is similar to that of Connor McDavid and Josh Allen. And it's quite stupid, quite honestly. It's very stupid. Think of this. Connor McDavid, in his career, you look at how many games he's played in the playoffs. 13 one year, and he had 9 points, 5 goals. The next year, 4 games, but he had 5 goals and 4 assists. He had 9 points in 4 games. The following year, 4 games, he had 4 points. The following year, 16 games, he had 33 points in 16 games. The following season, 12 playoff games, 20 points. The following playoff season, 25 games, 42 points.
These are great numbers.
Then the next year, this past season, 22 playoff games, 33 points.
The word great is overused, and we say that often. These are great numbers.
I mean, it's just people they just type away and they don't even think. Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen is 8-7 in his playoff career. Not good enough. Last time I checked, football was the ultimate team sport. Josh Allen, in his playoff career, 29 touchdowns, 6 picks. 29 touchdowns, 6 picks. Averaging 261 yards per game.
Wow.
I know what people are going to say. Yeah, but what about Kansas City? Couldn't beat Kansas City. You're right. He couldn't beat Kansas City.
No one can.
Here's what he averaged against Kansas City. He averaged 260 yards. He threw 9 touchdowns and 1 interception against the Chiefs. What is it you want from your quarterback? And I know last year people are going to say Denver, he was terrible. Yes, he threw 2 bad picks. He threw 3 touchdowns, but he threw 2 bad picks. Do you remember what he did against Jacksonville? When he completed 80% of his passes, threw for over 270 yards and a touchdown.
Most people don't.
We don't. Of course not. It's, what have you done for me lately? And I get it. Let's get to some texts. Fire away. Want to make sure we get those in.
I understand people are upset about USA losing in baseball, but let's be honest, it's not hockey. It's not that big of a deal. Major majority of the USA wasn't even tuned into the game.
Well, I don't know how you can make that statement. I gave you the numbers. Against Dominican Republic, 7.4 million people were watching. Now, you may not think that's a lot. It's more than the Oscars, I might add. You may not think that's a lot, but I'm telling you, man, you look at the historical numbers that are associated with it. And I thought it was really cool the way they immediately walked into the stadium. Both teams thought that was really neat.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Come on, man. I mean,
I love that.
It's hard to argue with the numbers that I gave you regarding what they have been. I mean, the TV numbers, at least against the Dominican Republic. So to say nobody's watching, if Fox says it's the most viewed sport event of the weekend, and the most viewed WBC game of all time at 7.4 million. I think that's something to hang your hat on. Those numbers are going up. And by the way, it's not more than the Oscars. I was just kidding there. But still, that's a pretty damn good number. So I don't know how you can say nobody's watching. That's number one. I never said it was the Olympic. I never said it was the hockey game. I never said it was, you can associate this with their first gold medal since the Miracle on Ice in 1980 and the first time they beat Canada in the Olympics since 1960. Never said that. But if you don't think it matters, the whole it doesn't matter, nobody cares is such BS. It's such a lame argument. If nobody cares, when Bryce Harper hits the home run, did you see those guys jump out of the dugouts like they were playing minor league baseball at the age of 12?
Yes, and him pointing
remember
at the flag on his
when
sleeve?
you were a kid and you were playing minors, majors, pony, colt, and all that stuff? Yeah, that's what I mean. When you were a little kid, you don't think people were excited about that? Are you kidding me? You have watch parties. You have bars going crazy. I'm not comparing it to USA Gold. I'm just telling you, don't feed me the lazy line that nobody cares.
No one cares about
when you
this.
see Bobby Witt and Pete Crow Armstrong jump over the dugout like they just had a World Series Game 7 home run. When you see people going crazy in Miami, okay? When they cut away to different shots that have people going nuts. Come on, man. What are you talking about? I'm not saying as many people care about it as a World Series Game 7 or the Super Bowl. No one's comparing it to that. Just don't be lazy and tell me nobody cares, because that's a false statement. Next text. Go ahead.
Noah says his upset for the NCAA tournament is North Dakota State over Michigan State in round 1.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I mean, you know how I feel, but go for it.
Well,
Shep.
but you feel that way with your heart. You have to separate yourself.
No, it's both, though. It's both.
Okay.
I don't think
it is. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think Michigan State is
foremost.
the type of team that's going to lose in the first round this year. I don't.
Some people, I mean, Jay Billis has got him going to the finals.
Yeah.
And even though I find him extremely nauseating because of his holier than thou attitude,
yes,
I think he really knows college basketball. I'm not saying that's a reason for you to choose Michigan State to be in the finals either. I think I've got them going to the Elite Eight, but I don't think they're losing to North Dakota State. That's your bracket. I wonder if you're doing that based on how they looked against UCLA. And if it is, I can understand why you have concern, but I just don't think that's happening.
Yeah, it's a much lighthearted version of everyone has their vote. You know, you can vote however you want, whatever. You can fill out your bracket however you want, but
Sure.
that's
I'm
not gonna. That's
Yeah,
come on.
I think you're gonna lose that battle. I think
Yeah.
Michigan State's gonna win that game. All right. They are in a very what I would consider the toughest bracket. That's not a unique take. I think there's a lot of people who feel that way. That Eastern bracket is really, really hard. It's going to be a challenge to get out of it. I've got UConn getting out of it, but Michigan State. Look, I said this the other day. I think there's only 8 teams that are in the top 25 in Ken Palm's offensive and defensive efficiency. UConn is not one of them, by the way. Michigan State is. And I think 19 of the last 20 teams to win the national championship were in both. Michigan State is one of those teams in it. Duke is one of those teams. Iowa State's one of those teams. Michigan's one of those teams. Florida's one of those teams. Arizona's one of those teams.
Houston.
And I think Houston. Yeah.
But I
think I named 8.
If I can ask you, Shep, like if there's a bucket you can put together of teams that like win it all every year or could win it all like feasibly, what would be your number where you max out? Like you're not going to say 20 teams could win it all
this year,
but no, I'm saying this year, but in general too. Like how do you?
I would say.
What do you think is too many?
I would say between 8 and 10.
Totally agree.
There's not many more than that.
And that isn't just doing the math of all 4 1 seeds, all 4 2 seeds. No.
Can
go down the line.
There are teams who are a 3 seed. Illinois is a really good team, I think, but
Gonzaga.
I don't necessarily think they can win it all. Yeah, I mean, some people don't feel like Gonzaga's gotten enough credit. I think in the state of Michigan, in our area, most people are remembering when they got torched by Michigan by 40 points. That was early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think a team gets better. Good teams get better. They're not exactly the same team.
But then you also have a team.
I don't have a Gonzaga as a team that I think can win it all.
Then you have a team like Arkansas that is a 4 seed, played its way into the 4 line, right? They probably were more of a 5 that is quote unquote peaking at the right time that maybe you could see winning it all. I don't know. I'm curious to know like how many teams in that bucket could win it all. And you say 8 to 10. I agree.
Yeah, I would say if you said Duke, let's just look at the East. Duke, UConn, Michigan State, St. John's, possibly.
Over
Kansas?
Kansas?
There's 4. Yeah, I don't think Kansas.
If you pick one of the 2, that's fair. Yeah.
So there's 4. Arizona, for sure. You said Arkansas. I don't believe so. I think Arizona is the obvious choice coming out of the West. I don't think Purdue can. So there's 5. Michigan can for sure. Iowa State can. So there's 7.
Yep.
And then on the other side, can Florida? Sure, they can. Houston can. There's your about 9. Illinois might be number 10. Illinois or Purdue might be number 10.
Gotcha.
So, and Illinois is a 3. Most of them are 1s and 2s. I get that, except for the East.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, they're 1s and 2s for a reason.
And you get a 5. You get a 5 in my belief is in St. John's. Take a lot for them to do it the right way. Can you imagine St. John's and UConn playing for
oh my goodness,
would be a third, a fourth time? It would be a 4th time, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be a hell of a. Anyway, that's an interesting pick that he's got Michigan State losing to North Dakota State, and then the winner getting. I have South Florida beating Louisville, but one of the two.
Me too.
South Florida's an 11. That would be a tough match.
And the winner, of course, plays Michigan State. That's the reason Shep and I bring it up. Is I think South Florida might beat Louisville, and then the winner plays hopefully Michigan State.
Yeah,
they don't lose to NDSU.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. And then you'd probably have UConn at the bottom half of that bracket. UCLA against UCF, UConn playing Furman. And then if you had a Michigan State UConn game, that'd be a hell of a. Another text. Go ahead.
Should the World Baseball Classic have implemented the ABS this year?
Well, I don't like the ABS. So I think there's the human. I'm in the minority here.
Do you care to expand, Shep?
Well, because if you think about it, I think it looks just at a 2-dimensional view, the ABS system, and the plate is 3-dimensional. You really need the 3-dimensional aspect of it. So I'm not a huge fan of it. There's plenty of umpires who get things wrong. Okay, people looked at the Dominican Republic, but if you look at the side view with Perdomo at the plate, it crosses the knees. It's where it crosses the plate, not where the catcher catches it. Just because Will Smith is, I mean, how many times did Salvador Perez, who's a great framer, how many times did you see him pull the ball back in where you thought, man, that's a strike? Where it crosses the plate, it was not.
Absolutely. That's where the 3D aspect 100% matters. It should matter.
So that's if it were 3D, it would be different. If it's 2D, which I believe it is, I'm against it. Now, I will be the first to admit, I am an old school baseball person. I don't like the pitch clock. I don't like the extra size bases. I don't like putting players with 2 feet on the infield. There's a lot of rules and regulations about the major leagues I do not care for. ABS system is also one of them. On the other hand, if you have the technology, why wouldn't you do it? Every other league does it. Now, if you're going to do it, though, you better do it all out. You can't have these every once in a while. This is challengeable, but this isn't, all that other stuff. If you're trying to make the perfect game, which I don't think is possible, if you're trying to make that perfect game, then make sure you're doing it for every scenario. Via the stream here on YouTube. My apologies, Noah, for getting so late. Shep, I understand people are upset about USA losing in baseball, but let's be honest, it's not hockey. Shep, if our best players aren't willing to play in it, it must not mean jack squat to them either. Well, best pitchers, Noah. The best players did play in it.
That's the distinction.
Give me another catcher who should have been in there for Team USA. You can't. Give me another first baseman other than Bryce Harper and Paul Goldschmidt. You probably can't. Give me another shortstop other than Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson, a third baseman other than Alex Bregman. Give me another center fielder other than Pete Crow Armstrong or Byron Buxton. I don't think you can. You could have possibly had a guy like Riley Green out there, but I think they did have America's best players. No, it's just not their best pitchers. And by the way, when you have Miller and Bednar at the back of your bullpen, those are your best pitchers. Let's cut to the chase here. What you're really saying is you don't have the best starting pitchers.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Everybody else?
Pretty damn good.
Where did you go wrong in trying to find better players?
No.
No,
Okay.
nowhere. You're going to take Aaron Judge out of right field? You're going to take Bobby Witt off?
Well, what you could
shortstop?
have done, perhaps, is taken Bo Bichette. That's a possibility. If people want to have that debate, I'm fine with that. There's nothing wrong with having a little juice in there and a good debate in that regard. Other than that, I got to be honest with you. I think most of the players they chose, like Ernie Clement was a backup. That surprised me a little bit.
Yeah,
all
me
right.
too.
But if you Shea Langoliers as a catcher,
yeah. Let me ask you this, Shep. Do you think they made the right call with the manager?
well, I've said this. No, I've said I didn't. With all due respect to Mark DeRosa, it's not like he played a long time in Major League Baseball. Okay. And I know people look at it like, oh, he does a show. Well, he does a show, but he's also connected with a lot of players and a lot of coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's a novice at this. I just think there were better choices out there. I think there are some guys who were, you're not pulling a manager from a current team. Nobody's leaving their team to go manage WBC. But if you recall, when the U.S. won a gold, who was the manager? Jim Leland.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he wasn't managing the Tigers at the time. So could you have taken somebody, Dusty Baker, just giving you as an example, and said, Dusty, here's your team. I want you to manage this team. You don't want somebody so far removed like Joe Torre, who doesn't have a good pulse for what the players are, but somebody who is recently retired, somebody who's done a really good job as of late, Bud Black. Somebody like that instead of Mark DeRosa.
How much do you think, before we go to break here, how much do you think a manager affects the game?
Well, look,
and I know how you feel
I thought
about
he should
this,
have pinch hit for Will Smith. Thought he should have pinch hit Cal Raleigh from the left side late in the game. I questioned why you would start Byron Buxton because he wasn't hitting at all. So I think, and that this is before the game. This is not after the game or anything like that. This is a legitimate question of what was going on. And of course, when you're bringing in certain pitchers, you're really at the mercy of a lot of teams when it comes to using your pitching staff too, as we talked about earlier. Phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. You can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. We've got more coming here via the chat as well on YouTube. Plus at 8:35, hope you stick around because we've got a good guest there, Joey Ellis from Carolina. He's going to give us an idea of exactly what the Lions have in DJ Wanham. That's coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Plus Tim Hardaway joins us at 8:18. Stay with us.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering the most generous rewards on the market, no matter what happens on the court, because this isn't a tournament you bet and forget. It's one you react to. With DraftKings, the number one sportsbook for live betting, you're not betting what might happen, you're betting what's happening. Possession by possession, play by play, live lines, props, next play outcomes. As the chaos unfolds, the bracket will break, so don't just watch the unexpected, bet it. New to DraftKings? Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE. That's code HUGE to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and up, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance, so get them in. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The huge show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. We'll be right back after this break, but while you're waiting, be sure to vote on our daily poll question presented by MitchLyonsWealth.com at XB Mornings on X.
boy, people love just talk about the pile on it. My hope is that a guy like Aaron Judge, Josh Allen, do not look at social media. That's my hope, because it's a pretty consistent chokehold, no pun intended, on both those guys. As I mentioned earlier, look, Aaron Judge's numbers are bad, period. I mean, they were bad in the WBC game last night, 0 for 4, 3 punchies, bad in the elimination games, and bad in the World Series. Okay. Those are the clutch moments, I suppose. There's also clutch moments prior to the biggest games too. All right.
Yep.
In which
people conveniently
he has
forget
been
that.
very, very good. Okay. And I would say the same thing about Josh Allen. So, and I mentioned that earlier. Josh Allen in his career is just 8-7 in playoff games. It's a team sport. Football is the ultimate team sport. 8-7. They don't put that number like everybody. Marv Levy and Jim Kelly used to wear it. Nobody associated the 0-4 Super Bowls with Bruce Smith, did they? That I can recall. Thurman Thomas, a couple of fumbles in one of those Super Bowls. Anybody say anything about that? No, they didn't. It's on Jim Kelly. It's on Marv Levy. Quarterback's the only position where they put down wins and losses. Okay. Josh Allen, 8-7 in the playoffs, not good enough, but 29 touchdowns and 6 picks. That's in his playoff career. And people are like, he's never going to touch jewelry. Now, at some point, those who don't believe in him will say, he's never going to touch jewelry, or he's needs a lot of help. They're likely going to sign Tyreek Hill. They traded for Jalen Waddle, right? Denver traded for Jalen Waddle. Every quarterback in the history of the sport has needed good players around him. And I'm not saying Josh Allen hasn't had good players, because I think he has. But it's a team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. You need defense to come through. You need linemen to block. You need receivers to catch the ball. It's just the way it works. Let me get to a few more in the chat here. Shep, and also my upset for NCAA. Oh, he said that was the North Dakota upset of Sparty. I had it in my upset bracket. Okay. Opposite in his upset bracket. Cool. I appreciate that. Noah. I would strongly disagree with that, but
upset brackets are
if
fun.
there are some people who feel like, I'm a little worried about Michigan State based on what I saw against UCLA and based on the last game they saw against Michigan. I thought they played pretty well against Michigan. Michigan's just a better team.
Yes.
Sometimes that's just the way it works.
No denying that.
And it's hard to deny it. I don't care how much you love Michigan State. I don't care how much you may hate Michigan. It's hard to deny that. It doesn't mean that Michigan's going to win the national championship. It just means in those two games during the regular season, whether it be at Breslin Center or at Chrysler, Michigan was the better team, and it was clear. I think Michigan State, and this has nothing to do with, Tom Izzo's going to take his team, this, that, and the other. No, I think they're a good basketball team. And it's funny because the people I talk to, they used to tell me that the most important position or for any team, in order for them to go with that team in an NCAA tournament bracket, is the guard play, then you would think Michigan State would be one of those teams you do take because of their guard play. Specifically, Jeremy Fears, a second-team All-American, according to the Associated Press. Now, people could turn around and say, wait a minute, Shep, you're not picking Purdue to go that far, and look at Braden Smith. He was a second-team All-American as well. And I would argue, or I would say to you, you're right.
That was going to be my rebuttal to what you just said.
That's the difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And Braden Smith has done it, by the way. He's done it longer than Jeremy Fears has.
Yes.
Okay.
He sure has.
I think Jeremy Fears is a better offensive player. I think
I do too, but we're
I
splitting
think he can get his shot better, right? Yeah. Braden Smith is an unbelievable distributor. He's going to pass Bobby Hurley for most assists in a career in NCAA tournament history.
Unreal.
I respect the hell out of him, what he's done. I think Jeremy Fears is a better offensive player. Who has the better players around them? That's a really good debate too.
Purdue.
Well,
I say that as a Michigan State guy. I think it's Purdue.
No, I know you. Everybody knows you're a Michigan State guy, but you said it really quick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think there's no
Michigan
doubt
State
Purdue has more talent than Michigan State does. I think
Michigan State went into Mackey and beat the crap out of Purdue.
Yes, and I give them credit for that, and I think Michigan State's coach gets more out of its talent than Purdue's does.
Yeah, I understand why Michigan State people fall on that all the time, because when you've made the NCAA tournament 28 consecutive years,
exactly,
that is a big plus. Matt Painter's teams have been pretty damn good too. He's recruited good guys. You don't win as many games as Matt Painter did, 27 this year, without being a good coach.
Yes, and I'm not crying over spilt milk.
So
I'm not saying,
and I know you already know this, Michigan State had more wins than Purdue did in the Big Ten.
Yes, yes, okay. And I think it's more a narrative of, I think Tom Izzo does consistently more with less.
I don't see how I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions
really
in the history of Michigan State.
Really?
You don't think he's gotten good players?
Of course I do. But what I'm saying is, would you rather have Zion Williamson? What was that Duke team in 2019? Zion Williamson, Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Purdue.
No, I'm bringing this up as an example. A Tom Izzo team that beat Duke. Bear with me here for a second. Back in 2019. So Coach K had those three players, three of the top 6 picks in the NBA draft, I think. Tom Izzo had Cassius Winston, Xavier Tillman, Kenny Goins, like all these, Matt McQuaid, all these guys who you've either never heard of or you're a State fan and you know who they are. To beat that team, I think speaks more to the coach and doing more with less than the actual, Coach K on the other side. And yes, if we bring it down to Purdue, it's a little different. I totally agree. I'm not trying to blow this out of proportion. I just think Tom Izzo consistently does more with less. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think.
And that's my favorite example.
Michigan State people love to fall back to that. I think Tom Izzo is one of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. Yeah. Period. Okay. But for people to fall in love with the narrative that he gets more out of less is laughable, quite honestly.
But do you think
because
Matt Painter gets
the people he's had? I don't care about what they do at the next level. Mateen Cleaves was the National Player of the Year, and he wasn't a very good pro, but he was a hell of a recruit, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good
Cassius
point.
Winston wasn't an NBA player, but he was a hell of a college basketball player.
He's probably the best player in the country when he was a senior. Yeah.
Draymond Green, Morris Peterson, Denzel Valentine. I remember John Beeline telling me one time, he's like, he wanted Denzel Valentine as much as any recruit he's ever recruited because of how good he was as a passer. He just loved the way he saw the floor. Kalen Lucas, Charlie Bell, Xavier Tillman, Miles Bridges, Paul Davis was the #1 player in the country.
Brandon Dawson.
I mean, this whole, they get more out of less. What are you talking about?
Well, look
at the players he's had. Zach Randolph. I mean, this is crazy.
I think on paper that we're talking about this season. So I'm sorry for bringing up 2019 against Duke, but this season, Shep, I think Purdue on paper has a better team than Michigan State. Yet, like you said, Michigan State had a better season.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I get it. I think it's really important to keep everything in perspective. You can't be a blue blood, call yourself a blue blood, and then say you get more out of less when you've got Jalen Jackson. Okay, you've got Zach Randolph, you got Jason Richardson. If you want to talk about pros, you want to talk about going to the pros. Draymond Green going to the pros. Okay, Gary Harris going to the pros. I don't. This is laughable when people say this stuff.
I know.
Okay, it's a narrative that was created because early in his career, because they created the culture.
I would love to know.
The culture is well established. They've had unbelievable recruits there, as good as any program in the country.
Yes.
Or at least in the Big Ten.
In the Midwest. Yeah, Midwest.
By far.
I would love to know, Shep, we got 30 seconds before break, but quickly, what are your thoughts on Mark Few? Because he's a guy who stayed at that program, and he's had the same sort of reach as far as recruiting goes, but hasn't had the success.
No, I think he's a hell of a coach. I don't think he would have the success with his teams if they played in the conferences or specifically in the Big Ten or in the bigger conferences.
Agreed. The schedule.
Quick timeout. When we come back, Tim Hardaway Sr. joins us to talk about the NBA. And then at 8:35, We'll talk with Joey Ellis down in Charlotte, get you an idea of the latest Lions free agent signing. That's on X's and Bros, brought to you by Avelo Air and Avelo Airlines, AveloAir.com.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan. Now, they continue to grow. They got their worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are worldwide. They are the leaders when it comes to accounting, CPA, and business needs. Simple and easy. Just Google Dorn Mayhew. And also, Josh Garvey joins me every Tuesday as we talk hoops with former Michigan and Cleveland Cavaliers head coach John Beilein. Tuesdays, 5 p.m., Josh Garvey, Coach Beilein, and myself, we talk Michigan, Michigan State, and the Pistons. Talking hoops happens all the way through the NBA Finals. And could you imagine if the Pistons are in the NBA Finals? If you ever have a hoops question for us, you can drop it at Huge Show on Twitter, The Huge Show on Facebook, and Talking Hoops every Tuesday at 5 p.m., presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew.
Avelo Air knows how much you love the Tigers. They love them too. They want to help you get to spring training in Lakeland because it is an awesome time. They fly nonstop from Grand Rapids to Lakeland Thursdays and Sundays, and nonstop from Detroit to Lakeland Wednesdays and Saturdays. Everyday low fares and reliable service. You don't want to fly anywhere else. Book your trip to Lakeland on AveloAir.com and use the promo code HUGE for $20 off a round-trip base fare when you book by March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
You are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network, but you don't need to be in Michigan to tune us in. Search XB Mornings on X or X's and Bros on YouTube.
18 after the hour here on X's and Bros. Welcome back on a Wednesday morning. Tim Hardaway Sr. co-hosts the Crossover podcast with Lindsey Hunter. You can find it on YouTube and anywhere you find your podcasts. It's as educational a basketball podcast as you will find, and he joins us here on X's and Bros. Tim, appreciate it as always. Pistons last night, a winner over Washington. Washington's not a good team. They've lost 13 straight. They only have 16 wins so far this season. What's the biggest challenge that you can recall as a player taking on a team that is openly tanking and a team that is nowhere in your class? What's that biggest mental and physical challenge for you and a team, do you think?
Staying focused. Coming in, staying focused. It starts in at shoot around. It starts in shooting around. No messing around, no playing around, no goofing off, no joking, no think that you're gonna take them lightly. None of that. Start just shooting around. You get focused at shooting around. You get ready and prepared like a normal game, like you playing the Knicks or the Raptors or whoever. And you come out and focus and be ready to play and don't take them lightly, because you see what happened with Brooklyn. You took them lightly in the second half, and they came back and won the game after being down 23. So now you just start to shoot around, come out, be ready to go, and let's beat them.
Spurs have won 8 of their last 9. As you watch the league, and I don't know many people who watch more basketball than you do, knowing that they're 51 up and 18 down, 26-7 at home so far this year, and as I mentioned, winners of 8 of their last 9 and 3 in a row. Who do you think the best team in the league is right now? And I know it's not the most important thing right now. What's the most important is in about 18, 19 games. I'm just trying to get a gauge on where you think the Pistons rank and where you think the best ball is being played right now.
I think the best ball is being played with OKC. The best team is OKC. You still got to go through OKC and beat them. The Spurs are playing superb. They're playing very well. They're playing really good. They're playing with a lot of confidence, understanding what their identity is. They you know what they do? They move the ball, and they very, very, very unselfish. And on defense, they play hard defense. They're in your face. They fouling you every time. They're picking you up full court, and they just using their energy and their their physicality to go out there and beat you mentally and physically. And if you can't take it, that's where you for 48 minutes and can't give it back to them for 48 minutes. That's where you at that 40-minute mark or that 42-minute mark, you're like, man, it's getting tougher and tougher. I don't know if I got that energy. I don't know if I got that, and that's where they get you at. But right now, I think right now with OKC getting healthy and getting everybody back, they're the team to beat. But who's playing the best right now and looking good is San Antonio Spurs.
OKC 37-9 against the West. We're talking with Tim Hardaway Sr. He is the Hall of Famer. He is the co-host of the podcast Crossover with Lindsey Hunter, joining us here on X's and Bros. I have seen this perhaps maybe too much on social media, but I do think it's worth noting. It seems like referees swallow the whistle more now than they ever have against traveling. It seems like guys are taking hop steps, jump steps, picking up their pivot foot on a regular basis. What have you noticed as one of the more egregious things that referees seem to be missing right now in the NBA?
You saying traveling? They've been missing traveling for the last 5 years.
I know. It's bad. Yeah, I get it. But do you think that's the biggest thing that kind of sticks in your craw right now when you watch games?
We just lost Tim. Let me try to get him back. My bad.
Okay, yeah. Try to get him back. I try not to get too hyperbolic here. Okay, I don't want to. There's the ringtone. I don't want to get too hyperbolic when it comes to referees looking the other way. The NBA isn't a good product. I think a lot of the players, it is a good product. I think there's concerns about the product, just like any sport. There's concerns about the tanking, openly tanking. There's concerns about the gambling aspect. I think there's concerns about expansion, and we'll talk to Tim Hardaway when we get him back on that as well. But when you're noticing so many different players, and I mean great players, whether it be Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Wembanyama, it doesn't matter. You've seen so many players taking, and this isn't just taking 3 to 4 steps. This is taking 6 to 7. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last weekend used his pivot foot like he was in the movie Big, trying to play the piano with Tom Hanks jumping up and down on it. It was crazy. And it happened again last night. So, or a couple of days ago with another role player whose name escapes me, excuse me. This is something that the league has to get out in front of. And you do that because every referee, every umpire, they're graded too, How is the league grading their officials? Are they taking a look at them and saying, hey, listen, this has got to get fixed, or this is not as much of a problem as we think it is? It sure doesn't seem that way.
Well, where's the accountability?
Yeah.
That's the frustration, right? Because you see in certain games, at 7:00 between the Raptors and the 76ers, you'll see certain calls. And then against the Thunder and the Knicks, when you've got Jalen Brunson and SGA on the floor, you see completely different calls.
Hard to be consistent, isn't it?
Yes.
It sure seems like it. Via the chat from TBB, Shep, how far do we think teams like Nebraska and Illinois will make it in the tournament?
Ooh.
That South bracket is interesting to me.
Ooh.
So Illinois opens with Penn, and the winner there gets either VCU or North Carolina. North Carolina is not the same North Carolina team that we've seen in the past. I have Illinois beating Penn. I have them beating North Carolina, and then I have them playing in the next round where you either get St. Mary's, Texas A&M, Houston, or Idaho. I don't think Illinois makes it past Houston. As far as Nebraska is concerned, they're in the upper half of that South.
Trying to win their first tournament game ever.
Right, and they do it against Troy in a 4-13. I think they will do that. McNeese could upset Vanderbilt, and actually I have them upsetting Vanderbilt. And then I have Nebraska getting to that next level where Florida plays Iowa. Florida wins, and they ain't getting by Florida. So I could see them making it to the Sweet 16, TBB. I don't know about you. I don't know what you have in your bracket, but that's kind of what I've got right now. We have tried to reestablish things with Tim Hardaway, have been unsuccessful. So our apologies. Again, check out his podcast, Crossover Podcast. He and Lindsey Hunter always brings great insight when it comes to the NBA and really the game of basketball in general. So check that out. When we come back, the Lions have made a move. I'm not sure how many people are super fired up. We'll get an idea on the signing of DJ Wanham from Joey Ellis, who covered him down there in Carolina. We'll do that when we come back here on X's and Bros. Just a reminder that DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering the most generous rewards in the market. This isn't just a tournament you bet and you forget. It's one that you actually react to. With DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, you're not betting on what happened. You're betting on what is happening. Possession by possession, play by play, live lines, props, next play outcomes. It's as chaos unfolds, your bracket is breaking or moving forward, you can bet on it. New to DraftKings, just bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code HUGE. That code is HUGE. Turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio. This is a limited time offer.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Lake Michigan Credit Union is proud to be the presenting sponsor of your Detroit Tigers 2026 spring training. Get out to the ballpark this year and enjoy some family-friendly fun. LMCU, You'll love banking there.
Monday, we told you about the new ABS challenge system for Major League Baseball. You get 2 challenges per game. You get to keep those challenges as long as you're right. Challenges in the minor leagues are successful about half the time. The next thing you need to know about the new challenge system is it's going to change the game in a big way because the strike zone is a lot smaller. The top part of the strike zone has shrunk dramatically, and history tells us that will lead to more walks, a lot more walks. Major League Baseball is expecting the walk rate to jump by almost 25% this year, and that will lead to levels not seen in 75 years. But it's what baseball wants. More base runners leads to more action, leads to more run scoring. Whether a walk-filled game is the best brand of baseball is debatable, but it is what we're going to see in 2026.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
The Michigan Sports Network is your exclusive home for X's and Bros with Matt Shepard and The Huge Show later today at 3 p.m.
Hey, welcome back. 35 after the hour. Joey Ellis works for the Carolina Sports Network. Looking forward to this conversation because you can give us a really good idea of what DJ Wanham brings to the Detroit Lions now that the Lions have signed him to a 1-year, $6 million deal. He seems to be more of an every down type of defensive end. I don't think he's going to be for Detroit, but I think he's a guy who isn't a specialist. Let's get that thought from Joey Ellis. You can follow him on Twitter at JEllis1016. He joins us here on X's and Bros on this Wednesday, brought to you by Avelo Airlines. Joey, appreciate the time as always. First of all, surprised at all or not at all that Carolina, who's made a lot of really good moves, I think, in free agency, decided to let this depth player go?
I don't think so. And also, good morning. Good to talk with you. I don't think so from the Carolina perspective. They've kind of loaded up, as you said, in the offseason with, some of the guys they brought in, getting Jalen Phillips from Philadelphia, which was kind of the big splash. And, even a guy like Devin Lloyd as well. But they feel that pretty good depth-wise around the line of scrimmage there. They've got a couple of guys heading into their sophomore seasons who they're pretty high on, and they went out and drafted high to kind of beef up that line. So, the Wanham experience in Carolina, I just don't think it worked to the extent that they hoped it did, and they were going to have nearly $1 million dead cap hit if they were to bring him back for another year. So I think for them financially, it made sense to just kind of, not have to fork out that cash for a guy who kind of was up and down. There was a lot of expectations for Carolina. When they got him from Minnesota, I mean, this is a guy who had 8 sacks his sophomore season. 2 years later, had 8 sacks. He's a guy who can give you high single digits, could maybe even hit double if he just kind of could be a consistent production guy, but his production kind of just was all over the place for Carolina. I think also they just were kind of playing him in an interesting position defensively. I think more of the scheme that the Detroit plays might lend itself to more of what DJ Wanham can be and what he can bring to a defense. He just never seemed to fit seamlessly here with the Panthers. I think part of it because of the way they had him playing the position, but also just he really wasn't available. His first year, he had only played 8 games. And then last year, at times, he just didn't even really know if he was on the field with just the way that he kind of just blended in there. And again, they kind of had him playing just more as a drop back, outside backer, which is not really his skill set. I think maybe a fresh start for a Lions team that's won. He's a really good locker room guy as well. He's a really good guy, just talking with him over the past couple of years. So for Detroit, $6 million for a year, I think it's good value. Is it good value for him as a starting edge? Like you said, will he play every down? I don't think so. But for a Lions team that needs some help there, I think it's a good signing.
I think this is one of those things, Joey, where Lions fans, just like Carolina fans, very passionate about their team. Everybody wants to open the Christmas present first thing in the morning before the family wakes up. And they're like, I want to see improvement right away. Is it fair to consider this guy a depth guy? And that's okay. You need depth guys in the NFL to be successful too. Is that primarily what he is? You don't think he's an every down guy opposite Aiden Hutchinson, do you?
No, absolutely. I think I'd be shocked if this is a guy who ends up, playing his way into starting opposite Hutch. I think it is a depth guy, like you said. And I mean, again, a position of need that the Detroit had anyways heading into the offseason. So again, for the value, the year, $6 million, I mean, who knows what they do and at the draft as well, addressing that position. But I mean, this is a guy that's got a lot of potential. I mean, physically he is very impressive, and he just kind of stands out. But it's just kind of the production aspect for him. I mean, he had 62 tackles 3 seasons ago, and then the kind of numbers have dropped off since then. So, I mean, he's a capable guy who can get after the quarterback. He can kind of defend the pass a little bit because he kind of had no choice but to do it here in Carolina. That's not really his strong suit, but yeah, a depth piece, no less, and again, good value for the Lions.
Appreciate that very much. Joey Ellis joining us here on X's and Bros on this Wednesday morning. Follow him on Twitter at JEllis1016. Let me ask you about another former Panther that the Lions signed, Cade Mays. Cade Mays is the guy I wanted them to get. I targeted him specifically. I thought he would be great value, even though Tyler Linderbaum got all the pub, and rightfully so, as the best free agent center. I thought Cade Mays could be a solid starter at the age of 26 and a guy who could be there for a little bit. And I thought they got him at a hell of a value at 3 years, a little bit more than $8 million per year. What did you notice most about Cade Mays? What did you like about him?
Yeah, I mean, that's you talked about the value, and a guy like Linderbaum's getting $81 million. I think Detroit made the right call, probably calling off the dogs in pursuit of that if there was any. So, like you said, $25 million for a guy who's all about football, a very bring your lunch pail to work guy, which I think kind of aligns perfectly with what the Lions and Dan Campbell are about. And I mean, this is a guy he's not a good run blocker. I'll tell you that, but very good pass blocker, which again is what Detroit is about as well for a guy like Jared Goff, who just wants to take the ball, under center and needs protection up the middle. I think Cade is perfect for that. So again, I think it was a good signing considering who else was out there. I mean, this was the second or third probably best available center. He's a good player. He's not a guy who's going to wow you and maybe tip Detroit over the top. But I think for, what they were looking for value-wise, again, especially, he was a really good pickup. I think Lions fans are going to like him.
Yeah, I do too. I can't help but wonder. He hasn't played center a long time, as you know.
Yeah.
But he is a guy who is now going to be under the tutelage of Hank Fraley. And Hank Fraley's a really good offensive line coach. At some point, I'm sure players don't feel like they can get a whole lot better. They are who they are. Do you think Mays can get considerably better as a run blocker? What is it about his run blocking that leads you to believe that he can't?
Yeah, I don't know, especially because Carolina, though, with just the way that they ran the football, he just kind of just watching him when they would run behind. It didn't quite seem like he just kind of understood the schematics of everything and what goes into the run block. And again, I've never played that position, so I couldn't tell you where or why not. He was struggling in that area. But as you mentioned, Fraley's one of the best coaches when it comes to that position group in the NFL. So if there's reason to believe that he can improve, you probably look to Fraley to kind of find some of those weaknesses and help him out as well. And again, he just numbers wise, really amongst the rest of the league was just not sharp there. But again, I mean, if he can still, hold his own in the pass game and give Jared Goff time up the middle, which again is where we really saw him struggle a year ago and where Goff really is not a good quarterback when he's got pressure very quickly up the middle in his face. That's always been his issue. So again, I think there's reason to think that Mays can improve. Again, you like the value that they got from him. The guy's all about football. I think he's going to be a great locker room guy. He does have some versatility as well, which could help Detroit if they need it here and there. I like the signing. It wasn't some sexy splash signing, but I don't think Detroit had to do that. I mean, again, considering what Linderbaum was getting out there, it wasn't worth it for Detroit to even have to pay anything similar to that. So for what they got, I think they're getting a solid center for sure.
Yeah, and Joey, I don't think, let's be honest here, I don't think many people look at offensive linemen as splashy, flashy signings anyway. I don't think many people even know who the hell Tyler Linderbaum was 2 years ago, quite honestly. Okay. Max Crosby's a different story. Tyler Linderbaum, probably not so much. Speaking of that, I believe you guys just signed Rasheed Walker for a 1-year, $10 million deal. Did you not?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How surprising was that to you that a guy who was considered the number one free agent tackle on the market by most goes on a 1-year contract for only $10 million?
Yeah, that was kind of the side eye when I saw the news to that. It's like, wow, when we were waiting on the terms of the deal and then found that out, I'm like, wow, what outstanding value for that as well. I mean, Green Bay fans couldn't believe that as well. So this is a Panthers team that's got some tackle concerns as well. I mean, they got a guy named Taylor Moton, a Michigan guy who knows this could be his last year. He's getting up there in age as well. And then you get Ike Ekwonu, your starting tackle, who's likely out for the season, coming up on a big year of his 5th-year contract. So just getting some help there, and you get a guy like that who, by all accounts, is still maybe one of the more underrated tackles at that position in the NFL. Was kind of surprised that they were able to do that. And again, when I found out the terms, Dan Morgan here, the general manager, has been putting in some major work identifying talent and getting some kind of team-friendly deals at certain positions that they need them. So, that was a really underrated signing for an offseason that's been pretty impressive so far here for the Panthers.
What surprised you most about this free agent signing period thus far? Because I think there's something changing in the National Football League. I don't want to be too hyperbolic here, but Joey, I see a lot of people signing players who we expected to get long-term deals to short-term contracts.
Yeah.
And it surprised me a little bit. What's taking you by surprise?
Probably similarly to that as well, some of the shorter-term deals, because they're probably realizing some of these long-term deals don't end up probably being worth the squeeze at the end of it, whether it's with the financials making sense or even, you know, sometimes of the health of some of these players, as we saw obviously with the Crosby deal with Baltimore, that didn't happen because of, you know, probably Baltimore getting cold feet with probably the nature of Crosby's health. But yeah, I mean, I think you're finding out that you probably don't have to ink these guys to uber long deals anymore. There's kind of more shelf life, and sometimes there's more just movement in the NFL as we're seeing. So it's not necessarily worth. I feel like you know, years ago we were seeing much longer deals, as you said, but now it's maybe 3, maybe a 4-year deal, if that, or, you know, just kind of depending on the player and the position, maybe 1 or 2. And I think there's a lot more trust now in the draft that, hey, we can kind of replenish through the draft. We get a guy as a little stopgap for a year or 2, and then you're on to the next one and finding more value later in free agency. So I think every team does it differently, but I think every team's been kind of adapting as the years have gone on and kind of as the trends have been continuing to show.
Last thing before I let you go, I know you heard what Max Crosby had to say about the Baltimore Ravens and the whole incident on how they turned back and decided not to issue the trade. And he was very vocal about it. It's not a good look for Eric DeCosta. It's not a very good look for Baltimore Ravens. And it may not be a very good look for the NFL. What's your overall take on that whole scenario that allowed them to open the door, keep their 2 first-round picks, and trade for or sign Trey Hendrickson?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, look, none of these trades go through, obviously, until that player has to, you know, pass his physical and whatnot. So, I mean, you know, once you see the news of it, everybody just assumes it's a done deal and wow, they pulled it off. Holy cow. But yeah, I mean, every single time you are going to have to pass the physical. It happened in the NBA last year with actually the Hornets and the Lakers when they tried dealing Mark Williams to the Lakers. He ended up failing his physical before he got there, had to come back to Charlotte. So it was kind of an awkward situation. But that, I mean, I think it was kind of a bad look for Baltimore, as you said. It's like, look, I mean, there has to have been whispers about his health, or, I mean, who even knows, to be honest, how actually severe whatever it is that popped up on the physical actually was, or was it just something that Baltimore felt, you know, we're not even going to chance it for now. We like our picks, as you said, being able to keep them. I don't know. I think it was a bad look. And then obviously, you know, it's seemingly seconds after the deal of that fell through, they're already signing a guy like Trey Hendrickson. So, I mean, we don't know the inner workings quite exactly of what happened in the discussions that were had looking into the physical and whatnot, and if it was actually serious enough to kind of renege out of the deal. But like you said, either which way, I think it's a bad look. I think Vegas is in an interesting spot. I don't know if Crosby will still suit up there in for the Raiders this season. It'll be interesting to kind of see what happens to him. But anytime you have something like that, it's always a kind of a side eye to it, because we never really know the inner workings and the conversations that are actually had to kind of get to that point. But it was an interesting, I mean, I haven't seen something like that in a long time, especially considering the player that Max Crosby is.
Yeah, agree. Joey, enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for the time, man. Keep up the great work there in Carolina.
All right, appreciate it, Shep. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, Carolina Panthers, by the way, viewed as one of just a couple of teams based on Pro Football Focus to receive an A in free agency. Another team, the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay. What type of grade would you give the Lions? Oh, I hate to ask that question. It might be pretty scary to do just that. Let me get to the final results of the poll question. I think most people, I would give them so far, I'd give them a C+, a C or a C+ is what I'd give them.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think they have a chance to bump it to a B- if they signed a more impactful defensive end. I expect them to draft a tackle. I don't know. One of our guests, Mike Payton on A to Z Sports, finally produced an article on something I've said for about 2 weeks now. You draft Vega Ioane, you put him at left guard, and you either start one of the tackles you acquired, or maybe even draft a secondary offensive lineman in the second round as a tackle. But why would you say no to the guard? Because we drafted Miles Frazier and Christian Mahogany? I don't think so. You have an opportunity to really solidify the inner part of your offensive line, and you can do that. And if you chose to put Larry Barnum at right, at right tackle, and Penei Sewell at left tackle, there could be worse situations. It's not a terrible situation.
Yep. A lot worse. Could be a lot worse.
Check that out, A to Z Sports, and I think you'll enjoy the article. It just makes you think just a little bit. Final results of the poll question from yesterday. Here's what we asked you. How excited are you for the WBC final? Fired up, barely on my radar, I don't care. What were the final results?
86% said I don't care. So
wow, really?
That's the thing, Shep. Like, you and I are baseball purists and people who love sports. I don't think it was on many people's radar.
God, I can't. That stuns
as
me.
disappointing as that is.
Maybe I like sports too much. Maybe I like baseball too much. I don't know. Via a text, did Schwarber really rip off his silver medal? Yes, he didn't rip it off, but he took it off, and so did Mason Miller. Both of them did just that. And then this one. After talking with Joey Ellis, Mornham sounds like a winner. Let's keep buying cheap and losing in the playoffs. But he's a Brad guy. I get the sarcasm there. If you think he's a starting defensive end, that's where your problem is. He's not. If the Lions start him as a defensive end instead of a rotational guy, then I'm going to have a serious problem with it. I don't view him as that guy, all right? I don't. I do not view DJ Wanham as that type of player. Appreciate the conversation. Always enjoy it on the chat and via the text. Trent is with you the rest of the week. Enjoy him tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock. Don't forget the huge show later on today from 3 until 6. Thanks for watching and listening here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Hey, when you travel, you want low fares, you want reliable service, and you want a direct flight. Avelo Air gives you all of that and more. Avelo Air has direct flights to take Tigers fans to spring training in Lakeland. Avelo Air will take you from Grand Rapids to Lakeland directly.